Into focus the stories, strategies, and shifts shaping our economy. No angle is missed as I talk about the business, the people, patterns, and possibilities behind them. Welcome to the Business Lens.
Rapid TV, rooted in truth, driven by impact.
It's great to have you with us on this interesting edition of Business Lens right here on Rapid TV. Let's begin with the key business trends that matter today. My name is Cynthia Agbo. Now, the World Bank is betting on Nigeria's medium-term recovery, upgrading its 2026 growth forecast to 4.4% and retaining that momentum through 2027, even as deep structural weaknesses remain unresolved. Now, let's look at oil marketers warn Nigerians to brace for another round of fuel price increases, with Brent crude crossing $66 per barrel and geopolitical tensions rising as crude potentially heads towards $80. Also, Nigeria's power sector bled an estimated 187 billion naira in just 4 months as Discos failed to bill over 16% of electricity delivered, deepening liquidity problems in an already fragile electricity market. Next, we say 10 federal agencies led by NIMSI are set to spend nearly 24 billion naira on software in 2026, reigniting concerns about efficiency, value for money, and long-standing abuses in public IT procurement. Also, the federal government proposes a massive 3.23 trillion naira for federal roads in 2026, nearly a 5-fold increase in 2 years. This is signaling a major fiscal shift toward transport infrastructure. I'm very particular about this conversation. Well, let's move on to investment, where the UK emerged as Nigeria's biggest foreign investor in 2025, accounting for about 65% of inflows as government reforms and a de-risked $5 billion project pipeline began to attract renewed global interest. It won't be complete if we don't look at the markets, where the Nigeria stock market regains investor confidence as equities gained 598 billion naira in a single session, lifting market capitalization to 106.78 trillion naira despite softer trading volumes. Now, we will look at all of the stories and more after this break, where I get to introduce our guests. It's Business Lens. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. It's Business Lens. And of course, I do have my guest here, Annalise, talking about our Abiola. Mr. Abiola.
Why?
Mr. Abiola.
Why are you using me as we are coming on stage in like a music concert?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Abiola.
Be serious, please. We are seeing tax already everywhere. Please be serious. If the government sees you this way, they'll feel that these people they are not feeling us enough.
It's not entering enough.
Let's increase it.
Well, but I mean, how else are they going to enter? They have entered. Now, while we were talking about, the tax and those in crypto, we're like, oh, okay, well, we're not going to be part of it.
Web3.
And then voila, we just got the story where under the Nigerian Tax Administration Act 2025, crypto transactions are now formally integrated into Nigeria's transaction, into Nigeria's tax system, with the TIN and the NIN mandatory for users and the VASP. I know people who are not going to be excited about this right now. And of course, while authorities aim to raise the tax to GDP ratio to 18% by 2027, critics warn that rapid enforcement could push users towards decentralized platform, reducing transparency rather than improving it. So the conversation now is, does taxing crypto strengthen our revenue, or does it risk pushing activity underground again?
Well, this is a very hot topic that has been going on social media since yesterday. And the first question is this: excuse me, has crypto been unbanned? That's the first question.
Okay.
Because it has been banned for so long,
Absolutely.
at least from the banking system. You cannot do anything crypto, even if you have a transfer and the description is crypto, your account will be closed. So has it been unbanned? Because if the government now is coming and saying that they want to tax crypto, put your NIN in your centralized wallet, put your tax ID in your centralized wallet, is the government trying to tax what it does not allow?
Or better put, are you tasking what you have banned?
Yes. Now let me use an example that people can understand. A lot of drugs are banned. Like, I don't want to mention names, bad drugs. Now, for a government of the country to now come out and say, oh, we'll be taxing this drug, you can hear how it sounds. It doesn't make sense because this thing is banned, it's not allowed. So if it's not allowed, then why do you want to go into that domain? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, of course, a lot of people that felt that, oh, they are out of this whole thing, they'll just be keeping their money in USDT and in crypto wallets and all that. Now they are being shocked because those particular crypto companies have been, or exchanges have been instructed to actually include all this information there, and anybody that does not comply, they're going to fine them or withdraw their licenses. That's what the government said. Now, the next question for me is, what exactly do you want to tax? If somebody sends me $100 in USDT, what does the government do? What exactly is the plan? How do they know what the money is for? What is the tax for the money? Are they talking about transfer charges?
Yeah.
That is in addition to blockchain charges? Or are they saying that for every certain amount of crypto in your wallet, we're going to tax a certain amount? Or are they saying they will tax only gains? If they are going to tax gains, how do they know what the gains are? So there are a lot of dark areas, gray areas that we really need to understand. But some we might never understand until it takes full effect and people start seeing the effect. And like you said, what it's going to do is that there's going to be a secondary black market. So
I'm very particularly concerned because you did raise something very important, which is the fact that, okay, you cannot tax something that you have not recognized as
being part of the system. Yeah,
part of the system. So shouldn't we, instead of we saddling ourselves with the question of, oh, how do you want to, what percent are you going to take? How do you want to go about it? Why don't we hold the government by the jugular and say, okay, fine, are you officially coming out to say we have accepted crypto? Should the people not be saying, okay, fine, you have no right to tax on things that you have not accepted?
Agreed completely.
Therefore, we are going to be standing against this particular policy or implementation.
The average Nigerian mindset is this, and that's why you're not seeing physical reactions, protests yet. This is the mindset. If it has not happened to me, it does not exist. Including security. That is why you see that Nigerians sometimes are described as docile people. They believe that whatever is happening, if it has not touched them. So by the time this one is touching them now, I believe we're going to see a reaction. The reaction might not be before it happens. The reaction might be after it happens. Because I believe, and I agree with your line of thought, that if something does not exist, we should not start debating other matters. We should stand on the fact that this thing has been banned. I'm telling you today, you cannot say you are doing anything, that you want to send money from a bank and you are writing is for crypto, is for this. Your account will be closed. You will even be fined. Your account will be closed and your money will be withdrawn and sent to you. So when did that change? I don't think it has changed.
Well,
so that is where we are now. This is not allowed in our system. Why does the government want to tax it? Somebody, I was watching a video yesterday on social media, and the guy was like, why is it that when it's time to collect, the government always shows up, but when it's time to give back to the masses, to give back to the citizens, you start looking for the government, And I actually thought about it also, that we've been talking about so many things. The government is doing this, the government is doing that, but the effect on the people is not enough for the level of tax that we are currently experiencing.
Okay, let's now move away from there. I know there's a whole lot, and how I wish we were at a time where we could, hear feedback of Nigerians. I'm sure a lot of people are also talking about this same thing, like this concerns that you've raised, this concern I'm also having. You cannot tax what you have not accepted. So come up with your full chart and tell us, okay, yes, we're accepting this, but we're going to drop our pride. Let the government say, okay, we're dropping our pride.
No, but they have to ban it first.
We're banning it.
Apart from the pride, fine, everybody has their ego. Come out and say you have unbanned this. Let people be able to do transactions.
Exactly.
Then you can now come later on and say, okay, now that you guys have been absorbed and we actually believe this is a legal tender, then we can now start talking about how do we monitor and tax this. No, you cannot tax what does not exist.
And further, I would also say that by the time you come out and say, okay, you have been unbanned, give us like about 6 months to operate on crypto and enjoy it before you can now implement anything tax.
What is even enjoyment?
Don't even say,
just allow us,
don't even open it because you want to task it.
Yes.
Because it's going to, at that point, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
At that point.
Well, the effect is what I'm waiting to see, because I'm sure that someone that has labored over the years to gather, let's say, $10,000 in his crypto wallet, would not want someone to just come around and take out of it without his permission. So, like you said, we will be seeing a lot of DeFi wallets, coming very soon.
Absolutely. All right, let's now move on to the World Bank growth forecast in Nigeria at 4.4%. Just to let you know that the World Bank is sticking with its optimism on Nigeria retaining a 4.4% GDP growth forecast for 2027 and upgrading a 2026 projection from 3.7% to 4.4%, according to its Global Economic Prospect report released on January 2026. Now, this aligns with the bank's earlier Nigeria development update suggesting improving macroeconomic stability. But beneath the headline growth numbers, structural weaknesses remain, and the World Bank continues, to flag productivity constraints, weak real incomes, and reform execution risks, raising questions about whether this projected growth will translate into jobs, purchasing power, and improved living standards for ordinary Nigerians, which is like the most important thing. So while the numbers look stronger, on paper, the real issue is what kind of growth is Nigeria actually building? So let me first hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I would prefer it to be called projected targets.
Ooh, okay.
not projections. The reason is because it's very optimistic, and it's good to have something to look forward to. But when you look at the projection of crude oil, our projection of the internally generated revenue, and other projections that were made concerning the budget, this 4.4 is looking very, very, very optimistic. But like I said, I prefer to look at it as a target, something that we're looking up to, something that will inspire us to do better. If everything goes on well with the government policies, and they're able to lower their expectations, especially when it has to do with revenues coming in from oil and other sectors, I think maybe we might fall a little bit shy of it. But 4.4 is extremely optimistic, because
is it realistic or optimistic alone?
It's not really. I don't put words in my mouth.
No,
it's not really, based on what we have seen so far. It's not realistic based on that. But this is the future we're talking about, meaning that if some things change and the government actually puts its hand to it, I believe it's something that if we don't achieve it, we can fall short of it. But if we continue to go at the same pace we've been going, then I don't think this would be the case by December this year.
Okay, so I would love to ask, this is a 4.4% growth, projection, but the poverty, unemployment remain elevated. And so what must change for this growth to become, inclusive rather than statistical?
The first thing for me in any GDP, because practically what GDP is like the value of the human beings within your country. So for me, the first thing I look at in layman terms in terms of GDP is the increase in value of every human, especially financially. Okay, so what increases your value financially? First thing is production. So if Nigeria starts producing, I'm talking about oil, I'm talking about industrialization, I'm talking about infrastructure. If an average Nigerian okay, has the potential to increase its income, okay, in this 2026, then we are seeing a bigger, rise in GDP.
Okay.
But if that is not the case, then we are just, as usual, putting a lot of grammar on paper. So we have to look at increase in infrastructure. We have to look at increase in production, especially the manufacturing sector. We have to look at sub-tool exports apart from oil. Now we have to start looking at other sectors, making things easier. Okay, now to export from Nigeria has been very difficult in the past. Now that if you go to somewhere like UK, you will see yam from Ghana, but you might not see yam from Nigeria. Not because Nigerian farmers are not up to the task, but
we have very
because
good yams.
when you queue in Apapa to export something, that thing, if it's perishable, might even be bad before it gets to the port. So if we can work on production exports and work on infrastructure, I believe that we can be on our way to increasing our GDP this year. But if it remains the same, and we don't have more people coming out of poverty, then where is the GDP going to rise from?
Okay, which now leads me to how much of this optimism, is tied to reforms already implemented, and how vulnerable is the forecast, to policy reversals or election year pressures?
Yeah, well, I believe that second point, election year pressures, might lead to the first one, depending. At the end of the day, we cannot totally divorce politics from economics, because politics to a very large extent has effects on what economic policies will come out. So you can also expect that at some point in time some compromises might be made politically that might affect the economic policies. So it is left to be seen whether the pressures of next year, which is an election year, would start affecting some of the economic policies this year. But based on what is on ground already, if it is fully implemented, I think we can get to this target or be a little bit shy of it.
Okay, good one there. Let's now move over to our next story, which is, of course, the fuel prices and crude oil volatility. By the way, I was having a conversation with someone yesterday and talking about how, you just mentioned Dangote oil, Dangote fuel and all of that. I'm like, Dangote wants to take the markets. And, so it looks like roadside gossip. But he made some very good point. Okay. But anyway, I think we'll get to that.
I need the food gist.
You like gist. All right, so fuel price pressures are resurfacing as Brent crude crosses $66 per barrel, driven by geopolitical instability in Iran and Venezuela, according to industry players quoted by The Punch. Oil marketers warn that if crude climbs towards $80 per barrel, petrol, diesel, and kerosene prices could rise sharply in Nigeria, with Nigeria still relying heavily on fuel imports and only one major domestic refinery operating. Higher crude prices and FX volatility could quickly pass through to pump prices. Now, marketers say even locally refined PMS may not be immune if global crude prices continue upward. And once fuel prices move, the ripple effects are felt everywhere, from transportation to food, household costs, every single thing. Which now leads me to ask you, Mr. Abiola, with Brent crude already above $66, how exposed is Nigeria's fuel pricing to external shocks despite the domestic refining efforts?
The price of crude oil is always a two-edged sword for countries like Nigeria, and this is what I mean. If the price of crude oil goes up, it marks additional earning of income and revenue for the country. On the flip side, it also marks an increase in the pump price of PMS, which might go into other sectors to affect the price of food, transportation, and general stuff. So on one side, it's good for Nigeria because you see our benchmark for the budget is 65,
yes,
which is also very optimistic and very, and now we're seeing 66, which I don't think will hold throughout the year.
Okay.
Because this is just because of what's going on currently, Venezuela, Iran, and whatever is going to come in the future. But
don't we want more to come in the future?
I don't want, nobody wants, but who knows? It's not based on what I want or what I don't want. So now, the price of fuel I've seen so far, PMS, in Nigeria doesn't really, there's always a buffer, right? There's always this delayed process or this delayed reaction. Because I remember during COVID, there was a time that, fuel went to zero.
Yeah.
It went to zero. No, like nobody was buying, and the price was so low. But in Nigeria, nothing. It just reduced, I think, by 5 or 10 naira or something, and that was it. So I feel that even this increase, if it's not sustained, I don't think will directly affect the PMS pump price in Nigeria. But if it is sustained over a period of time, then we might be seeing a subtle increase in the price of PMS. But that is where Dangote might also want to take advantage of it, because he might want to keep his price at the end of the day to bring in more customers to his side.
I mean, he's a businessman.
He's
a businessman. So any way to capitalize, well, he'll take advantage of it. Before we go to our next question, every time I hear Venezuela, there's this sort that comes to my head. I don't know why.
Venezuela?
No. From Venezuela to Lagos, money now. Oh, that's what it's saying. I don't know. It's stuck. Every time I hear Venezuela,
it came out last year.
Even when they took the president, that was what I was playing. But anyway, now if crude prices hit $80, what buffers, if any, exist to protect consumers from another inflation spike?
I think this should be a question directed at the government, because at the end of the day, the revenue is not coming to me. The revenue is going to them, and I don't know if anything will be done. The reason is, when the subsidy was removed in 2023, and the Naira subsidy in quotes was also removed, there was no cushion. Okay, whatever cushioning effect they tried to deploy was later on. But if you know the way things work, if you're jumping off a building, you don't wait till you jump before the mattress is put on the floor. The mattress is there first. That, okay, the cushioning effect is there. Then when you jump, you can land on it. But this was not the case, and it affected a whole lot, a whole lot. So I don't know if price get to $80 per barrel, bringing in more revenue for the country, if the government is going to create a cushioning effect. Because one of the things I would have loved is for there to be a kind of subsidy. There's hardly any nation on earth that does not have different types of subsidies to make, their citizens more comfortable. Because if you look at the whole idea of a government, is people that were chosen to come to the center to make our life easier. So if the country is making much more by reason of crude oil going to 80, that means more money has come in. The government and the people can ask, okay, you take this, so that as there are any more money and price of things might be going up, you will not feel it so much. But I don't know if the government is going to do that. But I would love some form of subsidy, especially on power. Power consists of anything that can generate power. I'm talking about PMS, diesel, normal electricity, solar, whatever.
Okay, well, the Holy Book says he prepares a table before me in presence of my enemy.
Am I your enemy?
No. Talking about, let us prepare a table for ourselves at this point in the presence
of them.
Because we don't know what might happen.
Yeah, but I believe the government can actually be proactive. I am always major on food. If the government can really go into food and make sure that food is dead cheap, like I said last year, when rice started coming down, I was happy. And I said, oh, rice has come to 50-something thousand, 60-something thousand. Yes. It's good. Even though we are not in the 8,000, 13,000 era, but at least there's an effect. So if we can go into food and food is cheaper, you will find out that cushioning effect will always be there.
Okay, very quickly before we go on a break, let's look at the power sector. You've already mentioned power anyway. Unbilled energy losses, amounts to about 187 billion naira. Nigeria's power sector continues to leak value with 187 billion naira loss to unbilled electricity between July and October 2025. Now, according to data from the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, billing efficiency hovered between 81% and 86%, meaning a significant portion of power delivered was never invoiced. Let me laugh a bit. I'm coming. Just allow me to laugh a bit. All right. So in October alone, Discos failed to bill 48.66 billion naira worth of electricity, weakening sector liquidity and worsening the secular debt problem. Now, these inefficiencies ultimately shift costs to paying consumers and taxpayers, soft landing into question. So while power supply improves in pockets, the business of electricity remains deeply broken. Is it my fault?
Yes, because you laugh.
Please, I mean, I know you felt what I felt right there. So I mean, let's talk about this. We're tired of talking about power. They're hearing these numbers. I mean, who are we? Why should we be talking about this?
Well, estate that I live, for example, there've been a whole lot of raids from AEDC last year coming around, saying that some people are on bypass, and some people are not paying as much as they consume, while you're recharging 20,000 naira per month and all that. For some, for a house of this magnitude. I think the first thing we should look at is inclusiveness. That's the first thing we should look at. Let everybody have a meter. The process of getting, I remember when my meter got bad and the fault was not mine. I don't touch it, nothing, and the thing gave up. And they told me they were going to replace it. Only for them to come around, I think months later, and give me a crazy bill, of 1.4 million. They're the one that came on and connected me direct and said, your meter is bad, we'll replace it. At the end of the whole fiasco, I was the one that still paid for that meter. It's not if I'm leaving that place, I won't carry meter. I hope
you didn't pay the 1.4.
I paid. Why won't I pay? They billed me, I think, for like 3 months. They said, I said, how
did you consume 1.4
Am I running the factory
in 3 months?
I'm practically not at home most times. My wife is not at home. My children have gone to school. So how did I amass this? But there's a system that you can appeal. And there are systems that at the end of the day, if you appeal, you are just wasting your time. Because at the end of the day, you're fighting against something that you cannot. So I think the first thing is inclusiveness. Let meters be available as much as possible. Let people be able to get meters like this. Because whether you like it or not, some people still don't have meters. Let people be able to break down as much as possible. Say, okay, this is a flat of 10 things, a block of 10 flats. Give everybody their meters. Let it be fast. Let it be swift. Let it be free. You can collect your money anyhow because the meter does not belong to me. It belongs to AEDC or belongs to the electricity company. That is one. So that means a lot of people are not captured to bill them for electricity. So
the question is are they not captured? Because you talked about they came to connect something for you.
No, directly because the meter was bad.
Directly. So now there have been certain complaints where people, you talked about bypass at first and they come to tell you, oh, you did bypass. The question is, who helps you? The people who do the bypass, who helps them to do the bypass. So I think they need to read off the bad eggs in their fold.
That's part of the problem also, because if they're saying that electricity is leaking, the first part is what I said, which is let everybody have meters, right? That's one. Then two, for those that have meters that are into bypass, I hear that they have smart meters and all manner of meters that can actually so deploy enough softwares to be able to quickly flag people that are stealing electricity and find a way to get your money back from them. Because once people know that an area is a no-go area, you will never go to that terrain. What do I mean? If, for example, now you know that if you're driving a car, you can open the door while the car is moving and jump down, okay? You might live, you might die, but it's a possibility. But you are in a plane, everybody knows. You cannot try it. So people don't even think about it. So if you know that bypass is something that you cannot, if you try it, you will see that with time, all that part will fizzle away. And people will, like for example, now I know people in my estate that you would think that there's nobody in the house. No, they are just conserving, they are using what they can afford.
Yes.
You see people using charcoal at the back of their house. It's not. I'm just telling you the reality. We can talk about the cost of electricity in another time. But for now, people are managing themselves because when you travel, that's the same thing.
Yes.
You don't just leave all the lights on,
absolutely,
leave all the AC on, go to work. No, even water. You don't leave the water running anyhow because everything is paid for and you're guaranteed that it will always be available.
But when you have bypass, you leave everything on.
You just leave everything on. You can even go and call your neighbor.
Lights now, water.
You can. Cynthia. You can be supplying other people power. You can be a mini distributor.
Exactly. Because before we go on the break, I'm wondering, okay, how sustainable is a power market where over 16% of electricity delivered, goes unbilled? And the thing now is, are consumers indirectly paying for these inefficiencies through tariff, taxes, service quality? Because in some places, the quality of service of the light is very poor. So is it my fault that you are not doing your work?
This particular thing you mentioned, I remember one of my guys, he just told me last week He said they had to write a petition because they moved him to Band A, but they are not getting the Band A lights, and they are charging them for it. So he said they had to write to NEC. He wrote a petition and everything, and they said, okay, they will move him to Band B back. But by the time they fulfill the 20 or 22 hours condition, they will move him. He said, no problem. I don't have a problem paying for what I use. But in a situation where you're charging me for a certain band that does not exist in my neighborhood, then it doesn't make any sense. So at the end of the day, these people not paying for power are giving a ripple effect to others that are paying for them to pay more.
Okay, we'll go on a very short break, but when we come back, don't forget we have more in Business Lens for you from NIMC, MDS, and a lot more. Don't go anywhere.
Nigeria's economy, the global markets, what does it all mean for you? From stock market insights to global financial news you need to know. From Wall Street to the Main Street and of course the marketplace. Get the answers you need every week on Business Lens with me, Faith Dafford Joseph, as I bring into focus the stories, strategies, and shifts shaping our economy. No angle is missed as I talk about the business, the people, patterns, and possibilities behind them. Welcome to the Business Lens.
Rapid TV, rooted in truth, driven by impact.
All right, welcome back. Let's go dive into our next conversation. It's still Business Lens. And if you're just joining us, well, you've missed a lot, but you still have something. Now, the 2026 budget shows that 10 MDAs will spend nearly 24 billion naira on software projects. Sad. With NIMC emerging as the single largest spender. Now, according to our appropriation bill, these allocations cut across identity management, cybersecurity, health, education, and immigration. However, these large IT budgets are raising red flags amid long-standing concerns over procurement abuse, duplication of systems, and poor value for money. Critics argue that software spending often lacks transparency and measurable outcomes. Well, we have several cases to cite on that. So the question isn't just digitalization. It's whether Nigerians are getting the value for it. Mr. Abiola, how can government justify 24 billion naira in software spending? You know, when digital public services remain fragmented? I mean,
I'll tell you for free. I have a master's in ICT. That yes, IT can swallow 24 billion. Oh, no issues.
Okay.
The question is, we need to know what it is. If it's about programming, writing codes, majorly softwares, and we're not talking about the hardware that hosts them, we're not talking about cloud services, we're not talking about having our own, cloud here in Nigeria, then there's a different discussion. But yes, 24 billion, in as much as it's a very big amount, and we're talking about multi-agencies, right? It can actually swallow it up. 10, it can swallow it up. But if it's just about the programs themselves, the codes, and nothing else, then it's a little bit much. It's even too much. Now, we have a lot of programmers in Nigeria, a lot of software guys, very brilliant, very intelligent, guys that work on the global scene. These guys can always be brought in because at this level, you don't bring in foreigners to code your softwares. Everything has to be homegrown. That is why I'm suspecting that if hardware is going to be involved, there's a different ballgame.
Okay.
And I'll explain to you. Now, if you want to have a backup farm or a cloud farm, the first thing is that power cannot shake. For example, banks' database. Have you ever wondered about where do banks keep their database? Most of them are not in Nigeria because there cannot be failure of power. That is one.
Yeah.
So that means that if you're going to have a cloud farm, a backup storage system, the first thing is that means you are off grid, most likely solar.
Sorry to cut you. You mentioned about the bank database. I just remembered, a particular bank whose database was.
No, that's the security issue. Is another thing.
And they spend money on that.
Yes, they spend money on that. So after you have gotten your storage set up, then you can now start installing all manner of securities and making sure that it is watertight, or it is airtight, or firetight, or whatever. Now, if hardware is involved, it can swallow a whole lot because power must be 100%. That is one. Two, usually a database is not stored in one location, it's not stored in one place. Because anything can happen to that one place.
Yes.
Does that mean that all your data is gone? Imagine waking up and your bank says that is zero we are seeing in your account too, or suddenly we are seeing 24 billion. No, but what did they see 24 billion?
Yes, that stays.
So now we need more information, because just as a blanket statement, if it's just for softwares, 24 billion is much, is too much. Because what do you, I was explaining the last time what a billion naira is.
Yes.
A billion naira will fill this room.
Absolutely.
So we'll call 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion. It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot.
So I'm a bit concerned, because when it comes to, when you put, in a sentence, when you put Nigeria and money in a sentence, I'm always very concerned, because we have issues of accountability.
Yes, because at the end of the day, these softwares now, what is the guarantee that they will be done according to the standard that money is meant to provide?
I think, like you said, we need more information.
Yeah,
we need to break everything down. Show us the number. Show us who and who is.
Because you have a lot of young guys that are software that will break it down for you. There's nothing hidden. You can say, okay, programming of this, development of this, by the time you know it, people will tell you that no, this thing should not, even as a contract, this thing should not be more than this amount. Okay, so if like people were saying, okay, you dropped 10 billion for solar in the Aso Villa last year, you dropped another 7 billion this year, and people that are into solar are beginning to analyze what a 7 billion solar system can actually carry. So in the same thing with software, by the time you bring it out and say these are the things that needs to be developed, people will tell you no, this thing should be done for this amount. A whole complete banking software, the amounts are not even close to all this, and we're talking about the financial institution which are one of the highest level of security in terms of their software. So the amount is much or not much, we don't really know until we have more information. But if it's purely software, then it is much. Okay,
so you heard it there. If it's purely software, then the amount is much. And of course, we're looking at accountability, so we don't have another procurement drain, which is what a lot of persons are very concerned about. Let's move away from there.
Before you move away, I wanted to say also that, like you mentioned, some of these softwares at the end of the day might not even be needed. Like you said, there is a low lot of duplication.
Yes.
What we need in Nigeria, first of all, is a global database of every Nigerian, just like something that mimics social security number in Western countries.
Yes.
But in Nigeria, NIN has its database, road safety has their database, banks, BVN have their database, immigration have their database.
Understand
so
why.
we have a whole lot of databases. Why? So now to maintain those databases and to make sure that they are always up to standard is like wasting a lot of money. But if you have a basic database for everybody, which the NIN is meant to cover.
So what do you think? I mean, before we run along, what would you suggest should be to be put in place to government to ensure that we have a centralized database where, okay, once you just type this particular number, like we have the social security number, you just see everything you need to know. Yes, we have the NIN, yes, but some departments or organizations or agencies, they want to have their own database.
They can ride on the NIN. NIN should be, even in my own perspective, a ministry. There should be a ministry of national identity.
Okay.
Because it's the security ministry of everybody involved, everybody in this country. So the first thing is have the NIN basic. As you are giving birth to, once you get to a certain age, go and register, just like birth certificate. Yes. Go and register your NIN. All your basic details are there. Now you can now have different level of access. Now there can be a semi-access or another access in the NIN that is BVN. That this one is your financial information only accessible by financial companies that have access, that have been cleared by CBN, for example. Then you can have another part for immigration. But everything under one body. Not that you have different, database, and we are now struggling to make them. Even all these tax issues will still be under the same.
Yes.
So that you can now check, okay, where is Abiola working now? Where is the last place he found that he's staying?
Yes.
Everything should be under one file, but different access for different ministries.
Okay. I will say that if at 10 days after your child is born, you should have his NIN.
And DNA, You're joking.
Well, your NIN, your child should have that 10 days after. Centralized system and everything moves. Well, let's move on to federal roads. 3.2 trillion naira allocation. The federal government has proposed this very amount for road construction and rehabilitation in 2026. Now, a 489% increase from 2024 levels, signaling a major infrastructure push. It's supposed to sound interesting, right? Until, well, you get the details. That the allocation of more than triples the 1.013 trillion provided in 2025. I mean, despite this provision, what was our road like? While the scale is unprecedented, Nigerians remain cautious due to decades of abandoned or slow-moving road projects. Execution capacity, contractor performance, and funding sustainability will determine whether this spending delivers impact. Now, big numbers are back on the roads, but trust remains in short supply. So I can always say, when it comes to Nigeria and projects, I'm weary. I'm very, very weary. Now look at the amount of allocation for road construction. You have not even delivered on 2025, you've not delivered on 2024, you've not delivered. The numbers keep jumping and jumping. I don't even want to ask the issue of guaranteed delivery. I mean, I feel like it's going to be a child's play to ask about guaranteed delivery, but let's move on to
when we are ready, right, we know what is right. Yeah, we know what to do. The government knows what to do. And there are ways you can do check and balances. You know, you go to some short roads in Nigeria, you'll find out that such roads have been awarded 3-4 times and it has not been done.
Yes.
So the country knows what to do when it wants to do it. Because I will say it and I'll keep saying it. If Abuja to Lagos cannot be dualized like Kubwa Expressway all the way, which is extremely possible for a country that is more than 60 years, then we are not ready. If Abuja to Kano cannot be... Ask anybody that travels a lot. Ask them that between 15 years ago and now, are the roads better or worse? Just say between 15 years ago and now, are the roads better or worse? Then they'll tell you, between here and Kano has to be clear. Between Abuja and East, following the second Niger Bridge, has to be... See, if those major roads, those major interconnections are not there and have not been done, then what are we talking about? All these other white elephant projects, what do we need them for? What do we need? Are they even going to be delivered? Are they not going to be done and stopped midway? So when you keep hearing billions, trillions, no problem, but let us see it. How do we know? Let the Minister of Works, whoever is in charge of roads, you are a minister, right? Okay. Forget about what anybody is telling you. Take your convoy, take your security details. Say, guys, we are going to so place by road. You don't need any other thing, any other feedback.
You remember this very...
Let's just go. Let's go to the east. Let's go to the south.
You know, this very conversation cost of, last year, where the Minister of Works, did appear in a particular platform where he was being asked about the amount spent on the road and the road project and the kilometers and everything. And he was saying, I mean, it was a disastrous interview. Yeah, so I do believe that... Well, no information.
It's to be reviewed by my Oga Adit. See, let me tell you something quickly. Whether you like the FCT minister or not, everybody can attest that since he came on board, you've been seeing bridges being completed, you've been seeing new roads to new areas. So when something is being done, there's no argument about you are here. This is a camera. Somebody will say, no, this is a toy. There are some things that once you see it, there's no argument about it. The man came, irrespective of his political affiliation, and people are saying that, oh, they've done this road, oh, they've done Jai Road, oh, they've done Maitama Bridge. This is what we mean by once you come on board and people can see the effect. So if they are budgeting this amount for road, it's the people plying those roads that will be calling you and say, Cynthia, they've done this road, I'm so happy. But we keep hearing figures, and at the end of the day, we can hardly substantiate those figures. Okay,
before we move on to stock market, which is the last part, we'll just use 2 minutes for that. Let me also say something. Well, you did mention the FCT minister. Yeah. However, I do have a plea. Tell him to come back home.
Home how?
Tell him to come back home.
Oh, are you from PH?
No. Here.
Okay, here.
Tell him to come back to his place of primary assignments.
Oh, he's not in Abuja?
He's touring River State. He's on a touring visit. Tell him to come back home. We need him.
Okay.
He has a lot of work to do.
Okay,
in the FCT.
Just give me his phone number.
I'll send it to you. Please tell him to come back home. We have missed him too much.
Yeah, we have missed him.
Exactly, he should come back home. Let's look at the stock market. Stock market rally 598 billion gain. Now, Nigeria's equity market gained 590 billion in a single session, pushing market capitalization to 106.78 trillion as investor optimism returned. And of course, despite the 3% drop in trading volume, 47 stocks recorded gains, led by Academy Press at plus 10%. The divergence between rising market value and slowing volume suggests selective optimism rather than the broad participation, raising questions about depth and sustainability. So the market is rising, but who's really in the rally? That's the question. Does this rally reflect economic strength or concentrated speculative interests?
Well, the first thing is, this is January. A lot of people are pushing their investment in. Whether I like it or not, that's a major inclusion in these numbers. Just like when it's November, December, people start taking profit and pulling their monies out. So the first thing is, why are we having this amount of influx now? The first major reason is because this is the beginning of the year. People are pushing in investments. Secondly, people are also working with data. The finance sector is a data-driven sector. People have seen what others made last year. On average, we're seeing more than 40-50% across board, with some companies making as much as 200%, 190% in pure profits on their stocks throughout the year. So based on that data, we're also going to have a much more influx, because now people also want to replicate what happened last year in this year. So I feel those two are the majority. Any other thing you want to say, I think it's too early for that.
Okay, well, too early. One thing I know that it's not too early for is to demand that the government gives us what we are due when it comes to tax. If you're taking from us, you have to give us something in return, which of course they haven't told us anything they're going to give us. We've just been hearing taking, but we haven't heard what we're going to give to you, as part of the tax system. You take a lot from us, you have to give us a lot too. Well, that is the much we can take on Business Lens today. Thank you so much, Mr. Bella, for joining me.
Thank you, Cynthia.
I would have given you a high five, but let's see. Rema. All right. So my name is Cynthia, but don't forget that Business Lens comes to you on Mondays and of course Thursdays. You can also watch all our episodes on our YouTube platform. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platform at Rapid TV. We're available on Instagram and Twitter. That's X. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere you can think about. On our website, www.rbnradiotv.com. Do have yourself a pleasant Thursday and a weekend by extension.